Welcome to this Wood Solutions Campus presentation on selling and supplying timber and wood products that are fit for purpose in appearance applications. This table is from an earlier presentation and shows the importance of key performance requirements for wood in appearance applications and discussed in detail below. Appearance applications are those where the visual appeal of the timber's finished surface is important. They include uses such as furniture, external cladding, flooring, lining and decking. The products used include sawn hardwood and softwood boards, plywood, veneered particle and fiberboard and other products. Having found out that the material is going into an appearance application, some key performance requirements are clear, while others have to be confirmed by asking follow-up questions. The performance requirements that are obvious are that the visual appearance of the timber when installed is important. The order may include a grade name for the material, and the supplied product will have to be at least equivalent to that grade or be approved by the customer. We also know that unlike structural applications, relatively few building regulations apply to appearance applications. So there's a lot of freedom in selecting material. The main regulations apply to appearance products that serve a structural function, such as decking, and applications subject to fire restrictions, such as some cladding and lining products. To confirm these performance requirements, there are follow-up questions to ask. The first is the application protected inside or exposed outside? If it is outside, durability will be important, as will the material's response to changing moisture conditions. Then, is the application location subject to changing temperature and humidity conditions? Spaces with high humidity, such as pool enclosures or with large heaters, pose particular moisture content and installation issues for many wood products. The next question is if the material will be subject to regular heavy traffic or likely impact, such as on a floor in a shop or where trolleys are used. Lastly, has the species and grade already been selected, and can other options be considered? It is important to remember that the answers to these questions are interrelated and the responses are necessary to provide a full picture. An application may be outside, take a lot of wear and tear, and have to be visually appealing. To be fit for purpose, the supplied material has to accommodate all of these requirements. Material used outside has to resist exposure to sun, wind, rain, and similar sources of moisture. It has to be naturally durable or treated sufficiently to provide the required resistance, or be protected under a roof or eave or by a paint system or another protective system. Timber used outside without a finish will weather, and when used in decking or cladding will eventually go grey. Appearance timber used outside will also be subject to regular changes in moisture content, and this will affect how it is installed.
One of the problems was with some of these low shrinkage timbers is you can get longitudinal shrinkage. If you've ever been on, you see some Murbu decks, big gaps at the ends.
Oh right, yep.
6-7 mil. I've seen them. Now, the way to overcome that is to make sure you coat the ends, because the end grain is where you get most of your moisture gain loss.
All timber used inside a building is generally exposed to fewer hazards than if it is exposed outside the building. However, the material may be exposed to different moisture conditions. Timber is hygroscopic. That means it absorbs or loses moisture to remain in equilibrium with the surrounding atmosphere. As it absorbs moisture, the timber swells. As it loses moisture, it shrinks. And this can have a big impact on the timber's performance in an application. Material will be subject to very high and changing moisture content and a dimensional change if it is installed in spaces with high humidity, such as pool enclosures, or with low humidity, such as in a home with large heaters or air conditioning systems. In applications like flooring, the timber's moisture content as it is installed is very important and should be discussed with the builder or the floor layer. Placing timber in changing moisture conditions can generate numerous problems for timber floors, cladding and similar products. These problems often occur due to either poor detailing or installation practice, or from excess heater or air conditioner use. This photograph shows a finished timber floor where the boards have cupped. This was caused by a change in moisture content on the front or the back of the boards. This installation is obviously not fit for purpose. Where these problems occur, several things happen. First, the customer is unhappy and wants it fixed. Second, the builder, the supplier and the timber producer argue about who caused the problem. And in the end, someone has to bear the cost of the repair, which can be substantial. Obviously, avoiding problems like this is cheaper than fixing them. Resistance to wear and tear is also important. Many appearance applications have to resist impacts from shoes, trolleys and luggage, and abrasion from dirt and gravel. Timber's hardness is important, particularly in flooring and key impact zones. Hardness is a function of species rather than product, so sawn pine boards have the same hardness level as pine-based plywood. Species hardness is expressed as its Yanker rating and is available in most reference material.
That if you've got a floor that's going to cop a lot of high traffic, like it might be a dance floor or something like that, you need to take that into consideration in your fit for purpose thinking to make sure that species is going to do that particular job.
Many of the characteristics of timber in appearance applications are connected to its species properties. Species characteristics includes its general appearance, its durability, its hardness and its stability. Choosing the species and board characteristics influences the board's visual characteristics and its strength. If the client's chosen species does not have the characteristics necessary to be fit for purpose for the application, then alternatives should be suggested and selected. Appearance timber is usually sold to a grade. This can be a grade defined into standard or by an industry group or a company. It is important to note that when a customer uses a term from an Australian standard, such as standard grade, this is effectively calling up the full requirements of the standard, so the supplied timber has to be standard compliant. Another issue with grades is customer expectation. Customers are unlikely to understand the standards grade requirements. They only understand what they have seen or what they have been shown. This is important as the ACCC specifically requires that products sold effectively match any sample shown.
Well, grade traditionally is people's perception. What we class as standard grades or select grades and things like that, and what's allowable in the grade, the problem we face is that our perception of grade is to the grading rules. Their perception of grade is that they tend to see a piece of timber that's probably 300 mil long, that's clean and pristine and has no defects, and that's what they expect to see when they get their deck laid. But in reality that doesn't happen.
In summary, appearance applications are those where the visual appeal of the timber's finished surface is important. To select a suitable product, questions about the application that should be asked include: is the application protected inside or exposed outside? Is it subject to changing temperature and humidity conditions? Is it subject to regular traffic or impact? And has a grade or a species been selected, and can other options be considered? Each response will influence the selection of a fit-for-purpose product.